Finally, we're going to talk about volume of spheres. Volume of a sphere is given by the formula V equals 4/3 pi r cubed. So r is the radius of the sphere. So in this example, we're going to find the volume of the sphere with radius 3 centimeters. And I went ahead and drew it just to make it a little bit simpler, and you can see the 3 centimeters on the radius. Well, basically, it's really straightforward. You write down the formula, V equals 4/3 pi r cubed, and then you substitute in the 3 in for the radius, so it becomes 3 cubed. Now, you don't have to do this. You can actually grab your calculator now, but I personally like to work these out as much as I can without the calculator. And you can see the 3 here, and this is 3 times 3 times 3, ends up leaving this 3 simplifies, that 3, well, there are 2 3's left. That's why that exponent goes to 2. So 4 times 3 squared, or 4 times 9, pi is now our volume, or 36 pi. I went ahead and left it as the exact answer. Now, a hemisphere is half of a sphere with a circular base. The volume of a hemisphere is half of the volume of a sphere. That's not true for surface area, and I'll let you think about why that's the case. So, looking at it, an example, the area of the base of a hemisphere is 25 pi inches squared. So this problem is definitely a little more complicated. And I know the base is 25 pi inches squared. I need the radius to find the volume, and that information is hidden in this area of the base. So I'm going to write down the formula for the area of the base, which is pi r squared. And again, you want both sides of the formula because this 25 pi doesn't go on the right side. It goes in for the area of the base. The pi's will cancel, and then you will get r squared is 25, or the radius is 5. Then I write down, instead of writing down the normal 4/3 pi r cubed, I put a half in front because it's half of the volume of the sphere. And I can actually simplify that 4 and that 2 and put in 5 for the radius. And then when I multiply everything out to get an exact answer, I get 250 pi, because 5 cubed is 125 times 2 is 250, all over 3. 250 pi over 3 inches cubed. So some things to reflect upon. Why should you avoid using 3.14 for pi early on in a calculation? Well, it's going to, if you only do 3 significant digits, it can get kind of iffy, because that means you can it's not too horrible to use 3.14, but the sooner you round, the more error you introduce. How do you find the volume of a hemisphere? Remember, that is half of a sphere, so you just use half of the sphere formula. Do you think the surface area of a hemisphere is also half the area of a sphere? Well, I told you it isn't. Why don't you think about why that's the case? And for our essential question, for all of our notes that we did, what past math concepts might you need to use when finding volumes of 3D solids? Well, you might be using trigonometry. You might be using Pythagorean theorem. You're definitely going to be using area of all the polygons, including regular polygons.